Please enjoy this feature presentation of the Crooked River Radio Network. This program is rated for all audiences.
Hash Eggs and Football is sponsored by CrookedRiverRadio.com. Crooked River Radio is an internet radio station that is live 24/7 playing top 40 hits from the 60s through the 80s. You can find us on Live 365, Simple Radio, Roku, Radio Garden, and even Alexa, as well as our website. Come on and join us on the Crooked River.
Welcome to Hash, Eggs, and Football, where we talk about this week's games as Monday morning armchair quarterbacks. Here's your hosts Erik Nanarrone and Pat Morrow.
Hello and welcome to Hash, Eggs, and Football. I'm Erik.
And I'm Pat, I think.
Well, last time,
I meant to say I'm a disgruntled Cleveland Browns fan today.
Oh, and
we don't have a Victory Monday. It sucks.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I know. It does. Really, that game was ridiculous. So, just a preview for today's show. We are talking Ohio State, Penn State, Browns versus Steelers. Yeah, that's who they fight. And also, interesting question here. What streaming service is getting involved with the NFL pretty highly?
I give up.
Well, we'll get into that later. Let's give out the phone number because you'll have to do it because I just don't remember it.
A phone number? It's 440-372-4688. It usually scrolls across the bottom of the screen there as soon as we get the screen on.
Oh, yeah, okay. So you can call or text that number.
Yeah, there you see it at the bottom. 440-372-4688 if you want to join us this evening.
So
we're going to complain about the... we're going to talk the Browns game over pretty deeply. I'm not... I've thought about this game all night. And the more I think, I'm just not sure where they're going to go from here.
Yeah, same here.
The fact of it is, if they still could lose one or two games yet, and still end up basically what they had last year. And in order to have what they did last year, they'd have to have 11 wins. I don't know if that would get them into the playoffs or what.
And they're not going to. They're not going to. At this rate, the way they're playing, I feel like Stefanski really, I don't know, it seems like he loses his knowledge on coaching. Yeah, I know, like, the Jarvis Landry fumble wasn't his fault, but I feel like when it comes to play calling, he loses his knowledge on how to call plays in the fourth quarter in the late game situations.
Well, as far as I saw that game, there was distractions from the get-go. The main distraction was Myles Garrett. That guy should have never been allowed to walk around in that thing. All he did was pitch. In fact, Ben made a
the Grim Reaper, and then the whole his front yard thing.
The front yard thing I don't care about because that's not on the field. But taking that to the field was about stupid.
But, I mean, there was other players around the league who...
To add to that, Ben was cornered about it after the game. He says that he can keep my headstone. He says, I'll take the win. What does that? That says to me that says a lot. You know, it matters more to him with his Grim Reaper.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry. I
that's a
don't
joke.
buy that. That should have never happened. and Stefanski should have had the pants enough to put a stop to it. But of course he didn't, because he's starting to lose the locker room like the other coaches have.
I think the only coach around the league that would stop that and actually put a stop full all the time to it is Belichick.
Do you think for 1 minute that Mike Tomlin would have allowed that?
Okay, that's
get your head out of your ass if that's what you think, Erik.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about Tomlin there, but
yeah.
But no, you're right.
And
he wouldn't have.
Do you think that would have came out of Baltimore that way? I don't think so.
True. Yeah, because they have respect for their coach.
And evidently they don't have much for him.
Stefanski. Yeah.
But it is what it is. Erik, I got a couple of. I want to look for some game statistics here.
Mm-hmm.
Or look at some. Really wasn't much of a week in football as far as the past week. There was some kind of surprises. There was some kind of idiotic things. Ohio State had a worse time with Penn State than I thought they would.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of crazy because how close it was. I didn't think the defense did horrible. The offense struggled. And that's, again, with Ohio State, that's been a problem. Other than Travion Henderson, the running back, I don't know about this offense. I don't know if it's capable. I mean, Wilson and Olave are good, but I don't know if they're capable of coming back to try to make the playoff at this rate.
You got what more? 4 more games.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's gonna get decided before that. You've got I think the worst of what's coming for Ohio State's Michigan State and Michigan. And
yeah.
Those are going to be too hard to win games because those are two really pretty decent teams. And I hate to say this, but they may have trouble with the team up north before it's over.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that they're playing in Ann Arbor. They play there this year.
Yeah. I mean, they might have problems, but I think that it'll be a close game, but Ohio State will probably win by 3, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. We can hope.
Yeah. That's all we can do. So, I mean, again, I'm not so sold on C.J. Stroud as quarterback past the end of this year. I think Quinn Ewers, the true freshman, is going to be in the running, or if not, the starting quarterback next year.
Well, he very well could be. As far as most of the other stuff on that team isn't too bad. There's going to be some probably freshman upgrades coming anyway.
And you're losing Olave and Wilson to the NFL draft. So your top 2 receivers, they have that Smith and Jigma, who's a freshman, but I don't know who else. They don't really have any other proven guys. They have Marvin Harrison Jr., but they don't have anybody. Well, he's really had a lack of playing time. So, other than Smith and Jigma, they don't have anybody.
Well, they bring them in. They'll get something in there.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if. Ohio sports teams have never gotten any respect anyway. No matter if it's college, no matter if it's pro, whatever. We just never get any respect. and that's the difference with Ohio State. Ohio State actually does pretty well normally. I'm not sure that I like the way that Ryan Day coaches. I don't know if it's him or I don't know if it's some of his coaching staff, his position staff. But it's some of the wins are way too hard for what they were supposed to be.
I really think, like we've talked about before, I think the linebackers coach is not that good. The D line coach is rated as the top D line coach in the whole country, and then the receivers coach is a former player and one of the top receiver recruiter in the whole country. So they're good there, and they have one of the top receiving corps in the country. But other than that, the defensive backs are garbage. Well, look who's their one. Well, look who both of their position coaches are. Kerry Combs, who was the former defensive coordinator or play caller at least, and then you got Jeff Hathley, who the Browns fans have seen that that experience before. He was defensive back coach for a while with the Browns, and they were some of the worst defensive backs in the league.
Oh, that says a lot.
Yeah. But hey, Ryan Day thinks he's worth it to keep on the, coaching staff.
Well,
yeah.
The way I think Ohio State does that though is they go. I think it's probably every quarter of the season. They'll go each fourth and they'll look at what's wrong and what's not wrong and what they got to do to fix it. And I'm sure they're seeing a lot of these problems. I just don't know where the fixes are going to come from. That's similar to what I'm figuring on the Browns. You've got a tread. When is the trading deadline coming? Do you know?
Tomorrow.
I kind of think that there may be something traded between now and the end of the trading deadline tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it should be Odell Beckham. I am done with Odell Beckham. He's nothing but problems.
Well, the only problem with that is you're giving away, when you've got a hurt team now. Of course, he's hurt too. You're giving away what little you've got that might be halfway good in a pinch.
But I think Baker. Maybe it's on Baker, but I think Baker is sabotaging things because there's been plays. I've heard people who watch the All 22 cam, which is like the coach's film, and they say Odell has been wide open on plays.
Yeah, but when you pass it to him, he trips over his own damn feet. I've seen that time and time again with that kid.
You know what? I would take a 6th round pick. I want him off this team now. I don't care what. I would cut him. I don't care. Get him off this team, out of Cleveland now.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you. You got to have some self-preservation here, and I think that's where he's coming in at.
But look, who wasn't on this team last year, and we played good. Look who's on this team now. One certain player. And
well, you can't blame all this on him.
I think he's killing the team chemistry. There's no other way.
I think what's killing the team's chemistry is all the injuries. I've thought that all along. When you've got 20 people on a injured reserve roster, you've got issues.
But even with the team healthy, they can't move the ball with Beckham in the game. But with him out and not even on the active roster,
well, there again, you've got last night you had Landry even fumble a ball that should have never came out of his
that
hands.
was on him,
And that was all on him.
yeah, I can't blame Beckham for that, but you can blame for the 10 drops he has per game,
But then
because he drops almost every pass that is thrown to him. He might have 5 passes, but he drops 3 of them per game. Like, how is that helping the team?
well, the one he catches. The ones he catches is what's helping it. And at this point, I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, he just needs to be off this team. Obviously, we disagree there.
Yeah.
But I think,
What are you going to get to replace him?
I think, well, if depends when Peoples-Jones is back. I think with Landry
rumor has
here,
it he could be out 2 or 3 more weeks. And what are you going to do in the meantime?
Honestly, I think Peoples-Jones will be a number 1 receiver, or number 1 or number 2. I don't know if Jarvis Landry leaves or not in free agency, but I think Peoples-Jones is going to be a number 1 caliber receiver. And I think he's going to be better than Beckham, because Beckham, all he's been is injured the last 5 years. So it doesn't take much to be better than Beckham the last 5 years.
Yeah. The other things that I wanted to talk about tonight, I think we'll cover this one, then we'll go back to the Browns for a little bit. You did send me that clip that I didn't have time to put in about Trevisano. I think that was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna cover that tonight. That was an hour long. I was just sending that to you for you to watch it on your own.
All right, we had a one of our local DJs or local radio talk show hosts passed away over last Wednesday, and it was such a shame. It was a guy by the name of Mike Trevisano, and we've covered him on a couple of the other shows here. I've always respected the guy because he just seemed like a blue collar dude.
Oh
and,
yeah,
and it was just a shame that he passed.
Amazing. That clip I showed you had one guy who went from intern to 2020 sports guy on his show and was there for like 15 years with him. I don't know if you remember Mark Schwab, who works for 19 now. Yeah, he was on that clip. Glenn Forbes, who was one of Tripp's producers, and then Paul Orlowski, who was a former 19 news reporter, who would be on Triv's show all the time, or whenever there was a big story, Triv would call him and try to get, insight on it. So guys that he had known for years, and the stories they told, and then they every once in a while would go live to TAM where he used to work, and pipe in the actual radio show, the radio tribute show for Trevisano. So that was going over Channel 19 here in Cleveland, their Facebook page for over an hour.
He passed away. They had a viewing for him this afternoon up until I believe 7 p.m. It was in Mayfield Heights, and I guess he's being interned tomorrow. It's just a shame. The sports world actually lost quite a commentator, and he did a lot of work with Coats for Kids and other charities. In fact, when he he was at, from what I understood, he was at his son's restaurant. They were eating lunch. He was eating lunch with somebody from Coats for Kids. They broke up lunch because he had to go get on the radio for a couple of minutes. After he got off the radio, it was about 11:45, and by 12 o'clock he was in a hospital.
Yeah.
So
He had a heart attack.
He went quick, and it's a damn shame.
I mean, he was, when he would do live reads for, commercials, that wasn't off script.
Oh, yeah.
He would go just kind of freelance it. They were talking about it in that clip that I sent you. And he would just, that's unheard of. Usually these stations make their hosts read off copy. He would just freelance it, and he would get people to buy into these products. Like, unbelievably. He was one of the rare people in this industry.
Yeah, he had kind of a gruffness about him in the beginning, though. That's what.
Yeah.
If you didn't like him, that's what you didn't like.
I mean, and from what I've heard a lot of people say, is he was so different on the air than off the air.
Yeah, I heard
the whole gruffness
quite a bit about
thing
that myself.
That you talk about that came off on the air. He was the total opposite. He was quiet, which is kind of hard to believe, but he was quiet and reserved off the air. But yeah, that was a shock. I mean, I saw that from you on Facebook.
Yep.
But,
and I'd got it off of that
Channel
weather guy
19.
from Channel 19, a weather dude.
Oh, Jason Nicholas.
Jason Nicholas, yeah, that's where I read it from, because I follow him on Facebook. It is what it is, and it's just a shame.
Yeah, it is. But, go ahead.
I did want to take and cover a couple of things in the league, in the National Football League today. And we're going to eventually get into our picks for the next week. The one surprise, and I don't know how, was the Jets game.
Yeah, that was
Cincinnati and the Jets, and I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
And I guess
that was the Jets were on their backup quarterback, and I'm actually thinking their backup quarterback is better than their starting quarterback, Wilson.
Well, it might be.
Which is not good, because he was a first round. Zach Wilson was a first round pick, and I think White, their backup, who started yesterday, was a like 5th or 6th round.
This is what week? We're in week 8, right?
Yeah.
I want to go get some of the scores here. Whilst I'm thinking about it.
The biggest other surprise was the New Orleans Saints beating Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they had that coming. They just came up against somebody they couldn't beat.
And I was listening to something, and they were playing highlights from the week, or from the day in the NFL, and they played the Saints radio network for that interception return. That was the worst call I've ever heard, because some announcers try to overplay the crowd noise, and let the crowd noise dictate their calls. Well, whoever this guy was, he literally, he's like, and that pass is intercepted. Total silence for good minute and a half. And then he's like, touchdown, Saints. I'm like, so you're not going to commentate him running down the field? Or even worse, he didn't even tell who the player was that intercepted it.
The other one, there was another surprise that I just saw here on the sheets. Is that was a Green Bay at the Cardinal at Arizona. I expected Arizona to win that because it was at home, and it didn't happen. They won. Green Bay won 24-21.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the Cincinnati game, they got beat. I'm looking to see what some of the other ones were. Houston got clobbered by L.A. Of course, the Browns score. I want to get into a little bit on that Browns score and give you my opinion here in a little bit. We'll give this another couple of minutes. So, San Francisco won against Chicago. Who figured that?
Actually, I have two slight topics that I guess we can fill this time before we get into the Browns score thing. So one I had teased and one not, and I'll go with the one that I didn't. Okay, so I pay attention to the goings on in sports media, and I saw the MLB is trying to buy stake in Bally Sports, which is the regional networks that most of the baseball teams, most baseball, basketball, and hockey teams play on, which I think is dumb on the Bally Sports. Yeah, because those NBA, which in Cleveland and Ohio, they own two different networks, which is stupid, I think, because the one network literally only plays the Cavs and Columbus Blue Jackets. The rest is just dead air for, the rest of the time. So that's a waste of a network. I believe they should sell it. The old Fox Sports Ohio, that's a waste of a network because they don't use it other than for Cavs and Blue Jackets games. So I honestly thought that should have been sold separately, and personally, I don't know if I've ever shared this on the air. I know I've said this on Facebook a bunch. I think the Browns, with their ownership having so much background in TV, I think they should start their own regional sports network. Like, I think that would be a good investment. They produce Emmy award-winning shows already, so I think they could easily produce.
Give Jimmy a call.
Their own.
Give Jimmy a call and have a talk with him.
Yeah. No, you know who has the Pants and Nav family? His wife. She's the one who runs. I think she runs it more than he does.
Well, probably because he's more or less more control of the other oil, part of the oil and the transportation stuff.
Well, they're giving that up, and Warren Buffett actually bought that.
Excuse me.
But they also own the Columbus Crew soccer team, and they won a championship last year.
Well, I think Jimmy thought he was going to win one this year, but I hate to tell him.
He's not. Nowhere close. But also, when it comes to TV, which again, a lot of people don't pay attention to sports media like I do. The NFL, interesting. For Thursday Night Football, I don't know if you see what where it's gonna be starting next year. Thursday Night Football is gonna be on Amazon Prime Video.
Oh, nobody watch it there.
And then also they're trying to buy the this is Prime, buy the rights to NFL Sunday Ticket, and also buy like 30% of the NFL Network, and that's most likely going to happen too. That NFL Network is going to be partially owned by Amazon.
Well, as long as these companies have a real issue with when they buy, especially buying into television and radio like that. You get these thick-headed people that own these companies thinking, well, if I take like they just sold the rights to the Peanuts stuff, and
Disney will probably buy that.
no, it wasn't Disney. I don't remember, but the only place you could see it, they had one place, and it was a pay thing.
Oh, it's probably Paramount.
And it just doesn't make any sense.
I know.
They're actually playing the stuff on PBS now, so that they're not allowed to make any money off of it. But when it comes down to it, people get used to having this stuff, and now all of a sudden somebody's going to come out and buy it all and try to hoard it. That's just wrong. That would be like taking, if you get a bunch of football teams under one name or under one owner, and all of a sudden he wants one company to have it and nobody else does, and that company doesn't get a third of the viewers that everybody else has got. And this is the way it's looking for some of this NFL stuff may be headed there eventually. And that's wrong. I'm sorry, it's just wrong.
I mean, they're trying to do that because more people have Amazon Prime or Netflix or something. People are getting rid of the traditional cable or satellite providers because it just costs way too much nowadays. People are cutting the cord, going to Sling TV, Amazon Prime, Netflix, or Hulu, or any of those. I know they're not sponsors of ours, but, just people are going to those and other services that are taking away from views. Like, I know ESPN was having a problem in firing people left and right because people are cutting the cord and subscription fees are down. So they don't know where to go, so the best thing they do is fire people.
I'd like to tell them where to go.
Well,
but that's beside the point.
I mean, unfortunately, just going to this industry in general, that's happening too much, where these companies don't know what to do, so all of a sudden the first step they make is, oh, okay, well, we're going to cut our on-air talent. And the worst thing, I think, is when they go all digital. When there's a couple of stations that I can list that I'm not going to, and we both know one of them, that are all digital now. No DJs, nothing. I don't understand how really that saves.
I will add something to that. When they take and do stuff like that, it's because they're not making any money. And
sell it.
You have to understand that trade in order to really know what's going on there. You can't sell it. Nobody wants to buy it. And the ones that do don't have any money either. And when it comes down to it, like these stations that are going to the one that went to all Christmas music back in September.
Yep.
They don't want to pay out any money. That's a low budget station. They're only serving a little area. They're not really making anything. They don't want to put any effort into it, so they just put crap on that nobody will listen to, and they don't have to worry about it.
There's a station on or in Cleveland that's all digital, but they're pretty high. Like, I could clearly pick it up here where I'm at, and they're all digital. I don't understand.
What the point is, though, these stations, like a lot of other things that have been ruined, I think we ought to actually do a show on that on the Sunday night show. These we talked about this with the restaurant industry yesterday.
Hmm.
They kept wages and that so cheap that now that there is a little bit of a employment crunch, they can't get anybody to work there because of their reputations. And it's the same thing in radio. A lot of these radio people won't go back because they know what they came from. There's little or no money there. You can't unless you get an audience of 6 or 8 million people. You're not gonna make any money.
We should do a show, and I've suggested this before, with Jerry, and have him, because you said
that would be an idea.
That would be really cool, because like
when it comes down to it, these stations have got reputations. They're not they when they do buy stuff, they do it with the barter system. You know what that is?
Yeah.
They and somebody comes and says, "I'll take if you give me this much advertising, I'll give you X amount of product, and you can give it away or whatever you want to do." And that takes the money thing out of it. And most of these stations way back in the 50s and 60s did that. They barter. And the barter system makes everything cheap. But then again, there's no money in it because nobody's got any.
It would be nice, and I've been saying this for years too, if the people who own 850 could, because they're expanding, they're buying the ESPN affiliates in New York, in LA also. But if they could buy or find an FM signal in that certain station that I was referring to, that's licensed out of Cleveland, who's owned by the number one broadcasting company in the country that is all digital now, would be a perfect target for an FM signal to be sold off, because it's all digital anyway, and it's a stronger signal than their AM signal.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges anymore. You know, by the reputation, they're not making any money. Now, a lot of these lawyers and companies that buy these things are just doing it for the tax write-off too.
And I mean,
that's a whole other thing by itself.
We've talked about this on the other show briefly, but I forget what the law is called. But in 1997, these companies were able to just swallow up all the local radio, you know, and that is what killed radio, because everything's so corporately run, corporately controlled. But anyway, I don't think, I'm surprised these big companies or Amazon or Netflix or any of those specifically haven't tried to get into internet radio now that it's easier to buy advertising. You know, people would listen to something that's owned by Amazon or one of the big companies because they're known.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, getting back to sports, though.
Let's go. There was a couple of things I wanted to mention about the Browns, and we need to get into the picks for the week. We'll start that in about another couple of minutes. My observation on the Browns: this is stuff that needs to be done. They need to realize what's going on here, and I don't think they do yet. But as a Browns fan and sitting out here on the outside, I see it needs to be done. You know, I've been watching the Cleveland Browns since 1964. I've watched them through the highs and through the worst, and I have a very good opinion of them, or my accurate opinion of them. What I see now, they need to shut Baker down. They need to take and let him heal. And if it's not going to happen this year, it's not going to happen this year. I think another loss or two with him in there is probably going to provoke that. He just doesn't need to be playing. He's hurt. You got to get some of these other guys healed up. I would look for something as far as by tomorrow night. There needs to be some sort of a trade made. If it's a blockbuster or not, there's some stuff that Cleveland needs to pick up. Will that take and rescue their season? God only knows. But they got to try something with that. What I saw on the field last night, and this is on both sides of the football, what I saw was a very, very uninspired team. They looked tired. They looked like they really weren't wanting to play it. I made a comment on Facebook 2 or 3 different times about how watching that team and watching that play was like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be more exciting than that. And if the powers that be can't give us that, then there's something wrong. They need to do something to fix that. You know, I don't know that we're ever going to see, or I don't know what we're going to see this year. They've got nine games left. If they won out, 9-4 is what, 13? They'd be 13-4. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to lose at least another 1 or 2 games. My prediction now is probably 10-7.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're going to have enough weaker teams that they can beat, but they've got to get their act together and they got to get more inspired than what they are. That there was no inspirement there whatsoever last night. They played like they were about half asleep, just trying to go through the motions. Even on the other side, when they pulled that kick or that 3-pointer and tried to get that touchdown out of it, Pittsburgh did that when they knocked
the fake field goal.
When they knocked their kicker out.
Yeah.
What that's amateurish. And I know I'll hear about this. I expect it, but it's amateurish. But on the other hand, I think Cleveland would have pulled the same thing if you would have given them a chance. They thought it would have worked.
Yeah.
But this is what you get when you get 2 bottom feeder teams, and this is what I hate the fact that they turned into that all of a sudden. We went from a great team on paper, and of course this is typical Cleveland. We went from a great team on paper to one of the bottom feeders, and there's just something wrong here.
I know, there really is. It's ridiculous the way they're playing, and I just have no other explanation than what I said earlier. And I'll repeat for people just tuning in. I think Odell Beckham is the problem. I think he kills the team chemistry. I think either Baker is intimidated by him, or maybe Baker's a little bit of the problem and he's sabotaging things and not passing the ball to Odell. But
I think if Baker wasn't hurt, you would have seen that's a completely different quarterback. Him playing hurt's not working. But
though him being hurt doesn't give him an excuse to not make the right reads to throw to the right receivers. So, I mean, I see it does affect him, but how does that really affect him making the right reads? Or is he feeling more rushed and not able to make the right reads?
Well, that's
is
the
that
$24 question. All right, we got to get to the picks here because we have to get out of here by 8 o'clock tonight. I've got some stuff I'm doing at 8:30 that I have to prepare for. So let's get to the picks here quickly, and then we'll wrap this for tonight. All right, predictions, I don't want that. I want the schedule.
while you're doing that, I would like to welcome the people who are listening. Let you know we are on every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Here on Crooked River Radio Network. You could always call at 440-372-4688.
Yep.
And it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen as I'm, trying to read it. And if you're still looking for the schedule,
I've got it.
Okay.
All right, we have the coming up this Thursday night. We've got the New York Jets at Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'll take that one too. And starting the Sunday schedule, we have Atlanta at New Orleans. New Orleans just won last week.
Yeah, I think Atlanta though, because their quarterback's just more proven.
It depends on what quarterback you get for New Orleans. That guy is a little he's Jekyll and Hyde-ish.
Yeah,
if he comes out and plays, if he comes out to play, they might win that game.
I don't trust Jameis Winston on a consistent basis.
All right, who are you picking? Atlanta?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take Atlanta too, I guess. The next one up, I think I'm going to take New Orleans there. I think they may have a shot at that. Next one up is Denver at Dallas, and
Dallas.
My friends get really mad at me if I don't take their team, so I'll take Dallas in that one. I think Denver's got a lot to prove anyway.
And
then,
the ending of that Dallas game was amazing on the, Dallas. For Dallas, they won with like 49 seconds left with their backup quarterback.
Oh, not bad. And next up is New England at Carolina.
I would say New England.
That's a hard pick.
Unless Carolina.
I'm gonna take New England on that one.
Unless Carolina trades for Deshaun Watson, which that's another thing. Is Deshaun Watson going to get traded? I know we kind of have to hurry through this, but is Deshaun Watson going to get traded either to Miami or Carolina by the end of the day tomorrow?
Yeah.
Because those are the two teams.
I guess there was a blockbuster there with Von
Miller. Yeah.
That we'll go into that later on. All right, next one up is Minnesota at Baltimore.
Baltimore. Even though they lost one of their players because he got shot. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Malik Jackson. Or Johnson.
Yep. From Ohio State.
Yep. What a shame.
I know.
All right.
But he should be okay.
Next up is our favorite team against Cincinnati.
Ugh. I am a fan, but I have to go Cincinnati. I can't let my fandom take over.
I can't root against my team.
I'm not rooting for Cincinnati. I'm just being smart.
I gotta take my team. I'll take Cleveland on this one. And that's been my downfall.
Yeah.
All right.
Luckily, we don't keep a record of these.
Well, kind of, sort of. This gives me a preview for my picks for Saturday. Anyway, the Buffalo versus Jacksonville. I think Buffalo's going to take that one.
Yeah, I agree.
And Houston at Miami.
Oh, Miami.
Miami's won one game.
Has Houston won more?
Yeah,
than one?
they've won a few more.
Not many, but
So what are you taking?
Miami.
I'll take Houston. All right, Las Vegas at the Giants.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'll take Vegas too. That's going to be an easy pick. East Coast against West Coast. It's always West Coast. LAC against Philadelphia.
LAC. Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers, I think. Another West Coaster. Green Bay at Kansas City.
Green Bay.
You know, I've actually looked at that 2 or 3 different times. If this would have been 4 weeks ago, that pick would have been easy. I would have taken KC, but KC's all but falling apart. So I think I'm going to take Green Bay on that one too. And then we have Arizona at San Francisco.
Oh, Arizona.
Yeah, you think? I'll take San Francisco on that one, just to be different. And then Tennessee at LA.
Rams.
Tennessee here.
Yeah.
Anything we should know about?
No.
Oh, here, this is going to be a good one here. The Monday night game. Chicago at Pittsburgh.
Oh. I hate the Steelers, but I have to have common sense. And since I know it's going to be a 30-point loss for the Bears, I'm not going to pick against the Steelers. I hate it. I'm a Browns fan through and through, but I have to have common sense here. Justin Fields against that defense, yeah, like I said, 30-plus points. Easily.
The way Pittsburgh plays. If they could capitalize on just a little bit of it, they'd probably win that. I'm taking it. I'll take Chicago. That's it. I'll take Chicago. And I don't know what the Thursday night game is next week. Let me see if I can find that.
And then, while you're finding that, I'm gonna also find a college game or two we can pick, because I think we should add that into the picks, just to pick 1 or 2 college games a week. Is there any good games?
Okay, on the Thursday night game, it's Baltimore at Miami. I hate to do this, but the Redbirds are going to win that.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. Another week in college football where there's not 2 ranked teams playing each other.
Who's
That's
Ohio
horrible.
State got?
Ohio State has Nebraska. So we can pick that game, and let's go. Well, I pick Ohio State, but not
Who's Atlanta playing?
Oh, Georgia is playing. I just saw it. Let me scroll through and find it again. Missouri.
Georgia. I'll take Atlanta. I'll take Georgia.
Georgia, for sure.
All right, it's almost time to wrap this up. So.
Okay, I'll do quickly before we go. For those of you listening, just a little bit about Crooked River Radio if you've never heard. We're a 24/7 internet radio station. You can listen on crookedriverradio.com, crradio.us, which is the same thing, just a shorter thing. Live 365 app, Roku, and other places. We play hits from the 60s to the 80s, and also we do other live podcasts. Tuesday from 7 to 8 is World According to Elmer with Jerry Sorensen. They talk about ham radio, and if like you want to
We
expound
talk
on
about
that.
ham radio as far as from the newbie aspect of it. We talk about last week we covered how to not be mic shy, and actually last week we did a segment on mysterious signals that you hear in the atmosphere and what they could be. That was a good show. I enjoyed that one. But that runs from 7 to 8 on Tuesday nights.
Then on Saturdays we have
At
Four
11
Guys
a.m.
on Sports with Sean, Nate, Gordon, and Pat. And then we have that's from 11 to noon on Sundays. And then we have Radioactive from 7 to 9 on Sundays. And that's with Pat, Flora, me,
John Brown, you, and the crew.
the crew. Yeah, I was trying to come up with a creative name, but I couldn't. But yeah, the crew, and that's from 7 to 9, and we talk everything but politics.
And no
Yeah.
politics there.
No politics.
Last night we did a couple of segments on Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. We talked about the history of the Monster Mash, and we did a little insight on Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, as our Halloween show. It was a pretty good show.
Yeah. So, and then 2 weeks ago we did, or 2 shows ago, we did an interview with 2 car salespeople who we were talking about the impact that the pandemic has had on the car industry and sales industry.
Yep.
So if you have a chance to go back, please listen to that, because that was very informative. That was probably one of our most informative shows that we've done since I've been a part of the show.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
We will.
So we'll be back next week, and from 7 to 8. Have a good night, everybody.
7-3, and we'll see you next week.